Yo, what's up, guys? King Chris here, and today I'm bringing you a Battle Royale beginner's guide. So today in this guide, we're going to briefly cover shooting, movement, and the use of the map. So if you've never played Battle Royale before, or if you're new to the game in general, hopefully you'll find some cool tips in here that are simple and easy to apply, and you guys can get something out of this and join your first game with a little more confidence and feeling like you already have an idea of how to make your way through the different stages of the game as the gas is progressing and get to those later rounds where you're in the top 10 hopefully and you can get a big score to increase your ranking and get out of that bronze level. So if you guys like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and wait for more content. This is my new channel. I'm going to be releasing a lot of H1Z1 video for you guys, so just stay tuned. And if you got any information that you'd like to see or any tips for my videos, please drop it in the comment area and I'll try to reply to you guys and deliver the content that you want. Peace! Alright guys, this is the waiting room, or aka the box of destiny. This is kind of where you're going to be holding until the game actually starts. So there's a few things I like to do when I'm here. One thing, you'll go into the options, then I go under graphics, and you want to make sure your render distance is set to at least like 1450 or so. That way when you're actually parachuting down, you can spot the earth. If you've got it too low, if you've got it on 500, then you won't actually be able to see the earth. So you need to bump it up to about 1450 or so, and then as you hit the ground, or maybe when you first grab your gun, then turn it down, and that'll help increase your frames per second. Then I back out. And now with the new update, you don't actually have to take off your hat. So when you run into a house and you find a helmet, it'll just put the helmet on over the hat, and I think the hat goes into your inventory. I still like to shred this though, so I can have an extra advantage. And then I like to take my shoes off, so when I find a pair of Converse, I can just grab the Converse and they'll go right on my feet. If you didn't know, Converse do make you run faster than those shoes, so if you ever see a pair of Converse, switch them out and you'll be running a little bit faster. Alright guys, so you can see, I can actually see the earth here. If my render distance is down like 500, it's going to look like this. You won't actually be able to see, so keep it up around 1450. To fall faster, you want to strafe, so I'm holding D and I'm swiping left, holding S, I'm swiping left, holding D, swiping right. I'm just spotting the ground. I'm going to go somewhere safe so I can continue to make this video without having to get into a big gunfight. And then I like to look around and see where people are landing, just to make sure that nobody's landing in the same yard or possibly in the house right next to me, and then it might just rush me. Alright guys, in vehicles you're going to want to have a little higher sensitivity so you can pan around easily like this. And if you look, I actually got a guy chasing me on a quad here, but we're going to just continue this. So you're just pressing the W key to go forward and using the A and the D keys to turn, and then you can still turn and all that stuff while you're panning, so that doesn't affect your turning. To go faster, you're going to hit this shift key and you can see the little flame come out of the exhaust. You'll hear it too, and that'll help you go a little faster. He just fell off. If we weren't filming this, we'd turn around and kill him, but we'll keep on going. And different vehicles, I can't believe we made that. Different vehicles have different characteristics. I kind of like the Jeep as my kind of go-to. It's got some good speed, but it doesn't flip really easy like the cop car. The cop car's super fast, but it tends to flip easily. And then the truck is actually pretty slow, and it'll spin out pretty easy. So if you want to do some donuts, play around with the truck is pretty fun, but you can feel that it feels a little heavier, so it doesn't actually flip as easy as the other vehicles. So make sure you always grab the keys out of the car, and then also get your fuel. You might need that. You can see I'm about 30% fuel down there, so you'll need to fuel up once you get pretty low. The car will just cut off automatically once you're out of gas. And if you have a key from this vehicle, you can pretty much jump into any other vehicle and you'll be able to drive off in it. So if you see somebody parked in front of a house, and you can kind of sneak up, and maybe you already have a key from another vehicle, and you can run up and take their vehicle, especially if yours is out of gas or if the condition is really low. You can see the condition there in the blue bar at the middle above your health bar. It says 90. Once this thing starts taking shots, or if you crash it into something, it's going to start taking damage. And once it gets really low, it'll start burning on fire, and then it's actually going to explode, and it will kill you. So don't stay in the car. Get out of the car. And if somebody's taking shots at you with a Magnum, the Magnum does 10% damage per shot. So be watching that, because this thing could die from 60% to a full Magnum if somebody's got good aim. Alright guys, let's get on to the aiming and sensitivity portion of this guide. So the first thing, you want to go into your options, go to gameplay, mouse sensitivity here. We already talked briefly about mouse sensitivity here. So I use 8. That's basically going to be your ability to scroll like this. So whenever you're just running around, you're hip firing, you're looking, this is the sensitivity you're going to need. I have mine set so I can do a full 180 by just swiping to the right or to the left. So if I'm running around, somebody's going to shoot me, I can jump, turn, find them, and engage. Then the next one, you go to gameplay, scoped. We'll skip that for now. That's for sniper rifles. And BR, you rarely get a sniper rifle. Vehicle sensitivity, like I said, when you're driving around, you're going to want to set that a lot higher so you can actually pan really quick as you're driving. For whatever reason, the low sensitivity is really hard to use in a vehicle, so just turn that up. Gameplay, aiming. Now this is something you'll just have to play with. I've got mine set on 4, which is half of my mouse sensitivity. So your aiming is actually when you're aiming down the sight. So when you hold the right click button, you can see you're going to aim down the sight. You're going to want that really low because you're going to want to make tiny, minute movements. When you guys are out here in the open fields or even here in the trees, let's say I'm engaging a guy behind this tree here, just the tiniest movement. I mean, I'm barely moving my mouse here, and it's just making those little movements. And the guy's head is only like 1, 2, 3 pixels wide at this distance, so you're going to want to set it really low, but you're still going to have your other sensitivity set up pretty high, so you can turn around and shoot guys and get in fights indoors and still be able to engage people around corners and stuff. I think that guy on the quad is back trying to find us. Alright. Now there's a truck coming. Alright guys, when it comes to your reticle, I tend to use number 22. You can experiment. I've tried 21, 23. 23 is a bit big for me. At a longer distance, this will tend to cover somebody up. As you can see, if somebody was behind that tree, it'd be hard to kind of see exactly where you are, whether you're shooting at their knees, chest, or their head. So this one's a little too big, although it's nice and easy to find when you're scrolling really fast left and right. If you go to 21, this one's awesome for long distance. So you can see it's a lot smaller. You can make really tiny adjustments and still see them. But when you're scrolling like this, let's say you got your shotgun out and you're rushing a guy here, you're trying to find him, you may lose that. So it's kind of hard to keep your eye on that and still see that when you're flicking around here at close battle. Even when you go into first person, it's still kind of tough to keep your eye on this. You kind of have to stare at it. So, but ultimately, just play around with that, see what works for you. This is kind of a good little go-between. You've got the big circular reticle for shotgun engagement. So right here, I can keep a good track on this, shoot a guy around the tree, first person. This thing's awesome. I love this. And then to engage a guy at a longer distance, let's say he's behind that tree over there, you still got your tiny one in the middle. So this is an awesome one. I'm experimenting with this. Still haven't made the final decision on if I want to switch to it, but this is something you guys should definitely give a shot. And then the color comes down to just your preference. So a lot of people like to use white, but you can adjust these sliders here. There's yellow. This is on red right now, but you can play around with this. There's black, which you wouldn't want to do because that thing would probably get lost everywhere. Purple, neon. So just play around with it. It's totally preference. And then the rest of these I leave on default, other than I turn off the cone of fire here. So that's just giving you those little hash marks around your crosshair. Turn that off. And then I've got the new option for your inventory to be centered, which is here, and it used to be over there, which is a pain. So I love that they added this in there now. Alright guys, we're going to talk about shooting a bit here. So in this game, it's pretty unique. There's this thing called bullet drop, which exists in real life. But basically what it means is when you shoot over long distances, the bullet will actually drop over the span of the distance. So the farther you shoot, the more the bullet will drop. If you look here, there's really not going to be any bullet drop. It's basically wherever I aim, it's impacting. But if we shoot at this tree way down here, you notice that it actually drops, which it's hard to kind of tell the exact height it's actually dropping, but that may be, let's say, 2-3 feet on that tree. So whenever you're fighting somebody, you may need to aim above their head slightly, depending on the distance, and that's something that you'll honestly just have to play with. You know, a lot of people are looking for the exact way to improve their aim and their shooting mechanics in this game, but honestly, you just got to get in there, play lots of games, and try different things out. You know, try aiming, and let's say that's the guy's head. Try aiming just above it, try aiming a little higher, maybe like a whole reticle above it. Ultimately, you're just going to have to shoot and see if you connect and then adjust on the fly. So if I'm shooting here and I'm not connecting, I may aim a little higher, and you actually look behind and see the bullet impact. So if I'm, let's say I'm aiming right here, the guy's head and the hand, you know, I'm impacting right on it, perfect. Keep shooting, but if I'm not, I may need to aim a little higher to account for that bullet drop. And then the same thing goes for leading somebody. If somebody's running across the field here, you may need to lead them across the field. I'll post a little video here so you guys can see an example of that. But ultimately, you know, let's say I'm shooting and I'm not making contact and I'm leading the guy here, I may need to lead him here or even farther here depending on how far it is. And you should see the impact behind him. And if you're seeing dust kick up behind the guy as he's running, then you may need to lead him a bit farther. And vehicles are the same way. Vehicles are moving a lot faster, so you sometimes have to lead vehicles by a bigger margin. All right, guys, here's a good clip of leading. So as you can see, I'm shooting in front of the guy, and he's basically just running into my shots. If I'm not hitting initially, then I may push forward a bit with my crosshairs, or I may pull back. It just depends. You can look at the wall and see the impact of the shots and just adjust them from there. The next thing I want to talk about is line of sight and utilizing first and third person. So here's third person and this is first person. Most of us are used to using first person in shooters, but this game's got third person, which is pretty cool because you can actually see around things that you normally can't with first person. So typically I'll run around in third person so I can have a better view, and I'll have my camera slightly angled down so I can see over terrain. And then let's say there's a guy behind this tree, I'll switch to first person and I'll get him with this view. It's just a little more accurate for me at close ranges, but if I'm fighting long distances, I'll stay in third person and I'll engage people this way. In houses, the best bet here is going to be in this first person view. You can flick around corners nice and easy. You can rush people into a doorway, look left, look right real quick, and there tends to be some bugs when you get really close. I don't know if they're actual bugs, but you know, when you get close to objects and you're in third person here, it blocks you and it just makes it a pain. And sometimes you think you can shoot through this, but then you go to first person and you actually can't shoot it. So if you look at this, my reticle looks like it's clear and free and I should be able to shoot around this tree. But if I go into first person, you can actually see that I'm going to impact the tree like it just showed there instead of around the tree like that. And when you're out in the open spaces, I tend to find that happens a lot when I'm on rocks like this. So let's say I'm fighting a guy and he's down the hill here. You know, it looks like I've got good line of sight. Maybe he's right there on the tree and I'm just barely exposing myself so I can make contact with him. So I'm shooting the guy, but if I go into first person, I'm actually going to hit this rock. So let's say I want to shoot the guy, boom, I impact the rock. I'm like, oh crap, what happened? Well, if you actually looked, you were in, let's see, so right here, back to first person, you're going to impact the rock. So sometimes you want to check that, you know, maybe you engage him from first person here. You can still aim down your sight, but your gun's going to make it a little harder to see. So you might just pop up, you know, come up here, make sure your reticle's clear and free, and then engage from here. But if you scroll down too much, you're going to end up hitting a rock. It ultimately comes down with just experience and knowing how close you are to something that's going to block your line of sight, and just kind of playing around with that. One of the biggest tips I can give you is to change your hotkey. Instead of using the default, which was T, T is a big pain in the butt. You got to take your fingers off of your movement keys, which you don't want to do, but it's just a pain in the butt to get to. I've bound mine to my front mouse button on the side. So now as I'm rushing somebody, I can just click it with my thumb and I'm still able to move freely with my left hand, and I can still aim and shoot with my other fingers in my hand. So it's super easy, super smooth to go in and out of first person and third person with my key binding as my side mouse button. Alright, what's up guys? So this section is going to talk about movement. Pretty straightforward. You got your W, A, S, D keys. Obviously W's forward, S is backwards, A is strafe left, D strafe right. And then you've got your look with your mouse, which will help you smooth your turns around here. So Some of the biggest things that I think are maybe a little new to some people is that if you haven't played a shooter much, let's say when you're running here and I'm trying to shoot, you're not going to be nearly as accurate as if you are walking. So if you hold the shift key, so right now I'm just walking. If I hold the shift key, I start running. If you're running and you're trying to shoot, you're not going to be nearly as accurate as if you are walking. Still pretty inaccurate, but a little more accurate. So when you guys are getting engagements, you're just going to want to strafe left and right, and then you're going to want to try and stop periodically too to get some good shots off. Straight left and right here, and shoot maybe to that tree with some accuracy, but you're going to want to aim down sight and strafe left and right here. You don't want to stand still when you're shooting. That's the easiest way for somebody to get a headshot on you. It only takes 2 shots to the head with a helmet and you're dead. So you guys are getting straight left and right here. Shoot really accurately, strafing left, and that's shooting pretty quickly. You can slow down your rate of fire and make it even more accurate. And mix it up. Don't just strafe left or right, or they're going to start predicting you, and then they're just going to lead you, and it's going to be super easy to get a beat on you. So, strafe left a bit, then strafe right, strafe left, straight. Some people like to just move back and forth here, but ultimately just play around with it. You're going to end up kind of doing what feels natural to you anyways, and you're not even going to really think about it once you start learning to strafe and aim down sights. Alright guys, we're going to get into a little discussion on cover. So cover just means using something like a tree or something that's bulletproof to hide yourself from enemy fire. So when you guys are going to engage somebody, let's say a guy's behind this tree over here, you want to be right behind the tree so he can't see you, and you can actually still look around the tree. I hold Alt and I can scan around so I can still see the guy, see what he's doing, because if you're just sitting here staring at the tree or you're in first person, you're not going to know what the heck's going on, and he could be rushing you with a shotgun and just come up there and then just blow your brains out, get a little jump shot on you. So make sure if you guys are like this, you're still scanning, looking, making sure he's not rushing you, seeing what he's going to do. And then you can try and figure if he's peeking on the right side over there on our left, on the right side of that tree, then you can decide to kind of pop out this side and make a little shot on him, or you can come out this side and make a shot. So ultimately you want to use this tree as your cover and protect yourself, and just make fast little movements to come out, make a couple pop shots, aim down sights. I didn't aim down sights, come back, pop out. Don't always pop out on the same side, so you may pop out over here and then decide to pop out on this side. Same thing if he's on that side, you may pop out here and then come back, or you can play a little bit, pop out here, pop out again, pop out one more side on this time, and come back this one and pop out one more time. So don't make it super predictable. Don't just go back and forth, or he's going to predict you. Maybe go 2 times one side, 2 times again, 1 time, and just kind of mix it up. And cover can be used with crouching too, so don't be afraid to duck down a little bit. You can mix up the height here. A lot of times newer players are going to be shooting you in your body, so if you do crouch, you may actually get headshot. So don't overuse crouching. A lot of times you can be out in the open here and you're going to engage this guy. Unless he's going for your head and you crouch, he misses you. That can help you, but if you're over here engaging him and he's shooting at your body and you crouch into his shot, then you may end up headshotting yourself by crouching into that shot. So you can play around with a little crouching as you're moving here, but don't use it too much. It throws off your aim just a little bit, not a ton, but if you're up close it can work. But like I said, if he's body shotting you and you're crouching into a shot, then you're kind of just screwing yourself. And then you can actually shoot very accurately when you're jumping. So if I'm going to come around this tree, I usually almost always jump, and I'll have a shotgun out, and I'll probably be in first person, but I'm going to jump shot the guy. It just makes it harder for them to track you because they're having to track you through the air. And for whatever reason, most people are aiming, at chest level, head level, and when you jump up, you end up having your feet or knees at their crosshair. So if they're shooting you, it's not going to be a lethal shot, and they're going to have to try and track you as you're falling, which makes it tougher than just a horizontal track. They're actually going to have to track you up and around. So that's a technique too. You can jump shot. You can still jump shot with the assault rifle. It's not just a shotgun, but the shotgun's awesome because you're light assigning and then you just land it and you jump shot them and pump them 1 time and they're done. Still jump shot. Get a couple shots off. You can see it's pretty inaccurate, but if you're up close, that could definitely work out for you. That's why the shotgun tends to be a little more accurate when you're jump shotting. So if you guys look on the top left, it says 60 remaining. That's how many people are left in the match. That number will go down when people start dying off. They're getting shot, choking on gas, and it's going to go all the way down until there's only 2 people left, and then whoever wins that one-on-one fight is going to be the winner of that match. So if you see the numbers next to that, 98, 79, that's your score. So as people start dying off, your score goes up. And right now with the new update, the way it works is you get $50,000 for first place, or 50,000 score for first place. So ultimately, your your finishing place has more weight than kills do. So ultimately, if you want to grind up your ranking and get out of bronze, I suggest just grabbing equipment, getting suited up, try to find a vehicle, and just get out of dodge, get away from the action for a little while, and let that score go up naturally. People are still going to fight and kill each other off, and then you can come out later on when you're in the top 15 or 10 or so and try and make a move. Now, if you're really trying to learn how to play and really want to get good at gunfighting, which you should because you're never going to win a BR if you're not a good gunfighter, then I would do the exact opposite. Get into as many fights as you can, jump into the action right away, and just learn how to fight, learn how to survive. When you land, you got to grab a pistol, run next door, kill the guy. Or if the guy's in your house, you got to learn how to react and kill him and stay calm and heal up, and maybe somebody else comes in that same house. So ultimately, the goal would be to become the best fighter you can so you can win the majority of your fights. If you could win 90% of your engagements, there's a great chance that you're going to win a BR because pretty much anytime somebody comes to fight you or you're the aggressor and you're going to fight somebody, you know that you're going to win that fight. And then when it comes down to the one-on-one, if you've got a 90% chance to win that one-on-one, then you know you're going to do very well and you're going to progress up into that royal category, which everybody wants to get. So ultimately, if you want to increase your score, it's all about placement. And then later on, once everybody is, let's say there's a ton of guys in royalty, and they've all got, their top 10s are nothing but wins. It's going to come down to the guy that has the most kills within those top 10 wins. So the guy that has 10 wins with, say, 25 plus kills in each one is going to be the rank 1 guy versus the other guys that have 10 wins, but maybe they only have 5 to 10 wins in each of those wins, if that makes sense. So as you guys see, I'm in the gas now. The gas just came through. There's a red little caution mark that's kind of popping up, or a hit marker that's popping up around my character, you can see here. So it's just showing you where the gas is coming from. So the gas is coming from this way. If it's up that way, to get out of the gas, you want to keep the gas, or that red marker on your back, completely centered here. So if I run this way, I actually need to turn a bit and run directly this way to get out of the gas. If you hit your map, you can see the edge of where the safe zone is, and you can see the gas coming in here. So I'm way over here. There's no chance I'm making it, but if you were closer, you could run along and try to get out of the gas and get into the safe zone. And you see your toxicity building up there just above your health. That'll slowly start building up. The longer you stay in the gas, the more toxicity you accrue, and the more damage the gas will start doing to you. So you can't just camp in the gas like I'm doing here. Back in the day, you could camp in the gas and live, but they've updated so you can't do that. And then in the top right, it says gas is spreading. It'll give you a countdown and tell you the next time period until when the gas is going to release. So that way, you know that you've got, let's say, a minute to get out of this zone here and get over to the safe zone. And if you have a vehicle, then you can make it. But if you're on foot, you're most likely not going to make it. And then in the top right, you have your compass. It's telling you which way you're facing. This is nice and useful because if you know that you're in I-8 here and you need to go west to get out of the gas as you're running, you just keep that on west, and maybe you get in a fight and you get all turned around without having to open your map. You know that you were last running west, and you can do that. Or if you're in a vehicle and you're running through trees and maybe somebody's chasing you and you get off course a bit, just turn your compass facing west again and just keep headed that way. And like I said, as long as you keep the gas hit marker, that little red hit marker on me right now, to your back, you're going to be fine if you keep running this way.